All right, I'm refreshing YouTube to see. All right, we're live there. And here we go. Hopefully Ryan's got us live too.
When will I know the video's done?
All right, we're live there. It's 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and thus ends our regular broadcasting day. We will now transfer to Wild West Hackenfest Community Broadcasting, your open access streaming channel for InfoSec conference entertainment. Up next, Slideshow Roulette with Frank Victory. Coming to you live from the internet, where our contestants will wish they had faces made out of granite, as the audience selects what presentations they'll get in a rodeo ride that we like to call Slideshow Roulette with Frank Victory. I'm your announcer and scorekeeper, Ian Meyer, and without further ado, let's send you to the man whose last name is Victory, but will yours be? Frank Victory!
All right. Hey, thank you for that awesome introduction, Ian. Welcome, everyone, to Slideshow Roulette. I know you guys have had a great conference so far. So,
You've got your YouTube running.
Yep, there we go. Sorry. Thanks for the awesome. Thank you for the awesome introduction, Ian. My name is Frank. I'm with the Denver OWASP group here, and we're going to do a great I'm sure you guys have had a great conference so far. We're going to have a little fun right now, and we're going to go ahead and do some Slideshow Roulette. We all know that one of the things that makes a great presenter is knowing the slides and the decks. So we're going to take some really seasoned presenters, and we're going to give them a deck that they've never seen before. We're going to have as the judges, we're watching the Discord channel. So what I'd like to do now is first off is introduce our judges. So first off, we've got Wolf.
Hello.
We've got Wolf. We've got Alyssa Miller. And we've got the impeccable Jake Williams here. If you guys could just maybe introduce yourselves real quick. Wolf, you want to go first?
I think you just did. Wolf Gorlick. JW Gorlick on the Twitterverse. And really looking forward to judging these. I love these types of events. It's going to be so much fun.
Awesome. And Alyssa.
Alyssa Miller. I'm just here having a blast. I cannot wait. This is going to be wonderful.
Awesome. And then Mr. Jake Williams.
Let's do this.
All righty here. Well, let me go ahead and I believe our first contestant would be Jay Beal here, right? So, Jay, I'm going to go ahead and get you a deck here.
Jay, you get extra points right off the bat for doing this from a car.
I love it.
I mean, that's like an extra degree of difficulty on the dismount.
It's got rush hour going on behind them, the whole 9 yards. It's awesome.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared up here.
It's the pandemic. We're going to rock it.
We are going to rock it, man. It's awesome.
If a future contestant does it from a swimming pool, like in the swimming pool, you get all my points. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you know what? I just realized we don't have the rules yet, so we're going to go the rules. Remember that while I'm going to give you the rules, we're kind of also making them up as we go. So, Jay, what you're going to do is we've got you a deck here. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. You're going to get 8 minutes to present the deck. We're going to auto advance the slide every minute. And you can't choose whether to go forward or back. So you're going to have to keep talking about the slide as it goes forward. All right? So can everyone see my screen okay? Yep.
And do I get to advance the slides, or they just advance whenever they advance?
I will advance them manually. So
but they auto advance at a given time, right?
Yeah.
They advance when Frank says they advance.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It depends on how fast I can count to 60. So and being that I only have 10 fingers and 10 toes, that's unlikely. So all right. Jay, if you are ready, let's go ahead and kick this off.
I am ready. I'm quickly Googling floppy disks so I can understand what I'm doing. Do I just start?
Actually, what I've done here is I've given you, sir, a deck here, hopefully,
Okay.
that just a section for you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jay Beal, and I love Slide Roulette. I've only done it a few times, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be awesome. As you've seen, I've been allowed out of the penitentiary that I live at, and the warden has locked me in a car. So I'm gonna go until you guys pick me off, or until someone like jailbreaks me. Um, Speaking of jailbreaking, let's talk about it. I have absolutely no experience with jailbreaking whatsoever in the last 10 years, and yeah, I'm the CEO at In Guardians nowadays, and I don't know what else you should really introduce in something as silly as Slide Roulette. So if you want to talk to me about Kubernetes, Linux security, In Guardians, or what I've got myself into, just let me know, and I'm scared. Oh, also, I really think John Strand. Nobody agrees with me, but I really, really, really think that John Strand bears a striking resemblance to the lead singer of Matchbox 20. And I think it's only John Strand's party face that must look exactly the same, because otherwise I can't line them up.
Awesome. And we got your next slide up here, Jay.
Okay, awesome. Floppy disks. Okay, so you have to understand that floppy disks, I adore floppy disks. They are absolutely the best type of storage we've ever had. I mean, I started out, I'm an old fucker, so I started out with those wonderful 8-inch floppies, and really that's what you want in a floppy. You want the largest floppy disk you can get. You want something that's absolutely never going to store anything. You want to have to go back to the day when, with a floppy, the only way you got more storage was by punching rectangular holes in the other side, ideally with scissors, and half the time wrecking it. I mean, if you look at the other kinds of storage mediums on here, floppies are way better. Like USB keys, they're lost constantly all the time, and they always, always, always have the wrong pornographic pictures that we're all embarrassed by. That never happened with floppies, because you couldn't fit a pornographic picture on a floppy, and you couldn't lose an 8-inch floppy. You couldn't even keep it in your pocket, much less have it fall out. I have USB keys fall. Oh, and floppy disks. Now look at this. We have apparently, I'm so old that the people who worked on these slides think that the only floppy disks that ever existed were 3.5-inch floppies. But 5.25 were the bomb. 5.25. Can you think about how many things you played on 5.25? You had Apple IIs. You had the original Oregon Trail was on a 5.25-inch floppy. It wasn't on any freaking 3.5-inch disc. But 3.5-inch discs definitely brought a boatload of storage. 720K, 1.44 megabytes. Wow, I can't tell you how much I love these, especially when you put it in and you could not get the damn thing to come out because it was locked. It was locked in. And that's what was great about the 3.5-inch floppy. It was the security. When you put a 3.5-inch floppy in the drive, you knew that it was going to come out eventually, unless it didn't and it ruined the drive forever. But, okay. So, but what we really have to think about is what really goes into the floppy disk, because you haven't been a kid unless you've spent a Friday night, ideally in middle school or high school when other people were dating, cutting open your floppy disks and figuring out what was in the inside, and finding that you could not tear one, no matter how strong you were. Or maybe it was just me who couldn't tear one because I wasn't all that strong, and thus maybe the dating may be unrelated to my dating. Okay, well, listen, floppy disks were awesome and computers were awesome, and I just want to go and find a big bunch of floppy disks right now. I just, when I think of floppies, I'm remembered my youth, my wonderful, wonderful, lonely youth of. Okay, this is getting depressing. So let's see. Um, um, yeah, apparently this guy is so young that when someone gives him a hard time for floppy disks, it's always about the 3.5 and never about those wonderful 8-inch floppies. I don't know why I'm so locked on 8-inch floppies, but they were just they were the comfort. Some people built card castles out of those 3.5 inch, but it was too easy. You need 8-inch floppies to build like five-story tall card castles while your friends are off dating and going to parties that you weren't invited to, and don't have the same clothes they have to wear every single day. And I'm sorry, this is really depressing, but I'm really glad that my friends' floppies were here. Just not that 3.5 inch. That wasn't my thing. Of course, that was the one that became the save icon because it wasn't useful for anything except for storage. An 8-inch floppy was your friend. 5.25-inch floppy you could at least hug and hold at night. I don't know what to say about this slide. I've already depressed myself. Apparently, I need my screening. I need my colon screening. Why don't we have alcohol for this? It's because I'm in a car. Damn it! You can't have alcohol in cars. But let's get back to my love of floppies. Floppies. Those were my first romantic partner was a floppy. I'm not saying sexual partner. I'm not crazy, but the first person I ever hugged, I think, outside of my own family was Floppy Doll. Was this amazing, like, well, it was a stuffed bear, but all the fur had come off, so I covered him in floppies and I hugged him and I held him every day and I carried him with me everywhere. And I can't believe that you guys found the locket that he had on him. That's his locket. It's the locket I got him. And my mother wouldn't let me put his name on him because he said that if they found out, they were going to send me to a special school with people who have just really, really bad emotional problems. But I didn't. I just loved floppies. Fire hoses. Um, um, Wow, this is a hard slide, and I don't know why I prepared this slide, but clearly we were going to go we were going to go really far, really fast, and I can't believe this is going to be on YouTube where my mother can see, but she'll just know. Yeah, if you find a fire hose, and clearly this one belongs on some kind of a ship. This must be the bottom floor of a ship. The first time somebody finally took me on a cruise, they took me on a cruise, and I insisted I brought all my floppies with me. And they said, "Don't worry, no one will ever see because you'll be in the basement, you'll be in steerage, and nothing bad ever happened there. You haven't seen the movie Titanic." And so, yeah, the fire hoses were wonderful, and sometimes I did like to just uncoil the whole hose, and it was so long. And I would uncoil the hose and I would pull it down the hallway and I would rub it, and sometimes bad thing. Yeah, the hose, I just can't say it. It's just my mom's gonna see this, man. But noodles. Now noodles are something I know a lot about because in my days with floppies, I spent so much time eating those ramen noodles while everybody else went to the parties and had pizza. And I was stuck in the basement with my hose, with my long, long hoses that we stole from the cruise, and eating my ramen noodles. And ramen noodles, they really are quite wonderful because they start out hard and then you boil them and you boil them and boil them and they become so soft, and they, if you boil them even more, they become so they just fall apart. They just fall apart. They melt in your mouth. Who wants chocolate to melt in your mouth when you have floppy noodles, when you have, I don't even know what I'm doing here, man. What the hell is this slide deck? I thought this was going to be technology. I thought I was going to get to talk about technology. I thought this was going to be like at a conference or something. But I just want to say that this conference, just in closing, getting to talk to you about floppies, about my youth, about the times that I spent in love with my 8-inch floppy, and remembering my 5.25-inch floppy, and knowing that everyone who thinks of a floppy as a 3.5-inch is just way too young, and knowing that I might have had some hard and confusing times, and that I probably need a colon cancer screening. And well, I just have to say that I do in my basement still have, and this is true, a good 40 floppy disks all in a bag and no USB floppy drive to read them with, or even find out if floppies still hold the data that long. But the thing I can say is I remember a floppy disk, it would hold data for years. And we all remember burning CDs and the packages and the warnings that always said your data would like fade in 6 months. That's why I never went to CDs. I put all my MP3s on floppy frickin' disks, and I don't care if that means that I can't even record at 56 kilobit per second. I have my music in a secure way in my basement in a box of 40 floppies with all my craft work recorded, because it really just didn't need all that. It compressed really well because it was really, really bad. Sorry, Ed.
All right. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And hopefully at one point you will forgive me for doing this to you. I know it's not going to be anytime soon. So
I mean, I'm going to need some therapy, clearly. I forgot all about my teenage years and
yep.
how
I
depressed
feel
they
like we
were.
just had your first therapy session. I mean, can we get you a leather couch, something, get you more comfortable?
I mean, a leather couch sounds way better than a night with floppies. Yeah.
All
Maybe
right.
a red leather couch and
I
know,
happen to
someone
agree
to
with
spend
that
the time with.
assessment.
All right. And on that note, judges, we're going to have you give Mr. J a score here from 1 to 100. No negatives, no fancy math besides basic addition. And go ahead. Let's start with ladies first, Miss Alyssa.
Oh, God. Make me
I demand an around.
Jay's saying something, but we've lost him. There he is, I think. So, boy, where to begin? Like, I feel I was in a really good mood. I was really enjoying like the first slide, and then we went dark, and the depression alone that set in. I don't know. It makes it hard to give you a really high score because I'm just right now I'm feeling bummed. So I'm gonna go with a 70.
All right. We got a 70. And Mr. Jake.
I mean, I got to start by I'm going to tell you, like, right off the bat, right? Floppy disks near and dear to my heart, right? Old school. I'm there, right? But so about an 80 there, right? And that's counting the extra degree of difficulty for doing it in the car. But I do have to tell you, just man, you were so good, and then didn't stick the landing roughly from slide 2, and so I have to deduct 20 points there, and I'm going to hook with Alyssa there, and give you 60, right? So 60 it is,
Nice.
right?
And last and certainly not least, Mr. Wolf.
Oh man, I laughed, I cried, I mostly cried. Then I laughed again a little bit. I mean, the journey you took us on from the bunny to the basement was both creepy and magical. So I think I think I'm gonna this is so hard. A score from 1 to 100, no fancy math. Huh? All right, I'm gonna give you a 65. I agree you didn't stick the landing, but you tugged on the heartstrings here, man. At the end of this, I'm gonna go visit my floppies because I missed them.
You said it was hard, but the whole talk was all about floppiness, and I don't understand where you're. This is very difficult. Very difficult.
All right. And Miss Shelby, what does Discord? Do we have any comments on Discord?
Uh-oh.
Oh man, I mean, I don't even know where to begin with comments on Discord. I mean, just
Next
people
year, I
asking.
demand-
Mostly, Jay, are you okay? That's kind of what people want to know.
Is there a GoFundMe we
find
need to
something
like kick
interesting
some
to
money
do with
to?
it.
Well, Jay, I
Really
saw your
interesting with it.
presentation today, and I saw that you had some floppy disk, and I just said, you know what? I can't leave it up to randomness. I had to give you this deck. And again, I hope you forgive me someday. So,
Hey, next year I'm doing it in a tree and with alcohol. I know I'll get a higher score,
we're gonna
Oh,
hold you to
but this was fun.
No, you can't drink when you're that sad, bro. You can't drink when you're that sad.
Especially not from a high place.
Yeah. And we'll have Jake on there. Jake will be like, well, he really stuck the landing when he fell out of the tree.
At first. Landed right on it.
Okay, so we have Shelby that is overloaded in Discord, and if she can find something, I'm sure that it's probably going nuts right now, I'm assuming. So
One thing that people want to know is, Ralph, are you okay? And if not, blink twice if you're all right. That's what people are asking.
Really crafty here. All right. Okay, are we ready to move on to our next presenter here?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I'll
All
be there.
right.
I am.
Well, hey, thank you, Jay. Who do we got? We've got Nadine and we've got Jesse out there. Anyone have a preference as to who wants to go first here?
Let's pick on Nadine. Why not?
Let's pick on Nadine. All right, let's go. Nadine, are you there?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me follow that.
Yes.
Frank, I know where you stay.
Yes, I know. That's one of the problems. I'm in the process of trying to find a new home right now because you are here in Colorado with me.
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, let me see. Let me go ahead and get my your special deck up here just for you. I've created here.
So just for the judges, this is my very, very first roulette slideshow.
Awesome. All right. And Nadine, are you ready?
I'll go for it.
All right. If you guys can see my screen, you got your intro screen here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you get rid of the little dialogue at the bottom, though?
This one?
Yeah.
Oop. Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Hang on. Let's try again. There we go. How's that? All right. I know how to use a Mac. All right. Okay. So, Nadine, you're ready? Here we go. We've got you as blue as a team as super service. Right? First off, let me just give you something to introduce yourself with.
Oh, I have to introduce myself?
You have to introduce yourself. Yes.
Frank, you know me. Yeah, I was approached and asked if this is something that I thought I could do. And I was given a couple of slides as a rough draft to do an audition. And I thought, I've presented. I've got many hours in front of the microphone and the camera. So let's roll the dice and spin the ball, see where we land.
And I think instead of approach, you should have said conned or intimidated. But there we go. Here we go for your first slide.
Everything is being virtualized. Everything is being virtualized. So I remember back in the day when you actually had to walk into a data center, you had to actually punch the code and open the door, and you walked into your own data center where you had the raised floors and you could go and touch the bare metal. Nowadays, you don't have the control that we used to. Everything is being virtualized. So software as a service, we've got to touch it. We've got to use it. We've got to keep it updated. And so what we had, in the past where we could, physically update these servers ourselves with the patches and the upgrades. Nope, that's kind of been taken away from us. And so as kind of old school, it's a new skill that we have to learn. So Quicken is now cloud-based. Oh my gosh, my money is in the air. That just scares me. The really cute cartoon about, the little boy that asks, Dad, what is the cloud? And he says, it's just a bunch of Linux servers. Web service platform. Okay, so we're going to provide blue team services instead of a slice of time. Virtualize the people. Oh my gosh, that's an eventuality. I think, back in the day we talked about automation being the next step, and now we're looking at what we can do with the peoples. We've talked about minimum wage being raised and where's it going? Well, you walk into McDonald's now and you actually place the order yourself. In fact, I've had a debate with a friend of mine who said she absolutely refused to use the self-checkout at the grocery store because, of all the jobs that are being lost. And no, you can't think of it that way. You have to think of the programmers and the designers and the hardware and the suppliers and the supply chain behind the actual self-checkout itself. So yeah, we will virtualize some of the people eventually, and the jobs that they had will grow. we can put our team in your system by using PIM particles. Now, this is one of my favorite Avenger movies. And so by picking on Harold, those PIM particles would be so cool to have. In fact, that's one of the suits that I think would be so cool to shrink down and end up in the quantum realm. So if your team was of the caliber of like Pym and some of the other Avengers, Tony Stark and some of the others, that would be so cool as far as the virtualization within your organization, the ability that they would have in order to forecast, what's coming down the pipe, what's coming in the future would be absolutely amazing. Blue team will be part of your systems. People are now data and no longer in their physical bodies. And they ride the data packets to ensure it's safe. Goodness gracious, I don't see how that picture really... This provides ultimate protection. Well, let's see. The blue team as part of your systems, I think they're integral. They're absolutely necessary. You've got the good guys. You've got the good guys that are pretending to be bad guys, and then you have the actual bad guys. And so all of them, I think, eventually will have the ability within the environment to be in their own plane, if you will. So, if you think about it, not necessarily in their physical bodies, but their personality and what they're trying to do is trying to, accomplish a goal. And so they do want to make sure that the entire environment is safe. Firewalls, one of my favorite tools is a firewall. Instead of having to create firewall rules, we'll actually, gosh, that's so hard to read. It's fuzzy. Actually break malicious packets with their hand. All right.
Lock.
All right. So
you're gonna do this, Nadine. They're gonna have our teams do this right here. So.
Right. So I actually this reminds me of kind of like a Wreck-It Ralph. I've seen people, write those firewall rules and treat it as if it was, Wreck-It Ralph, and they could break those packets with their hands. Network traffic analysis is one of my favorite classes, where you take all that information and just rip it apart with your hands. So absolutely, I think of, those firewall rules being broken, and we've got malicious packets out there that need to be destroyed. And so between the virtualization and your blue team PIM particles, we should be able to loop back around and deliver that to the organization. So IDS, IDS is one of my favorite things. So being able not only to detect what's going on in your ecosystem, one of the things that I think is incredibly important is the ability to really zoom in on what's important, and whether it be an alert or whether it be something going on internally, the best magnifying glass you can have for your team is training, having people understand what the traffic is supposed to look like, and then what the alert is, and if it's nefarious or if it's malicious or if it's just something that happens all the time. And you know what? It's just something that that it's something that should be happening in your environment, but it might pop up as an alert. But yeah, the best magnifying glass for your IDS team would be to have some type of service that gave you that visibility into your ecosystem. Oh my gosh. We're getting started with the people that you have an insider job. We see this all the time. In fact, one of the things I like to do in my cyber range is pretend to be a bad guy. That way you don't necessarily have to worry about the perimeter, but you've got the people that leave their passwords, under their keyboard on a sticky note. You go to the NFL game and they're interviewing somebody in the control booth, and the password is, behind them on the wall. There are so many careless users, and it's just amazing the things that they don't think of as non-security professionals. So whether it be a careless user or, payment card breaches that happens all the time. I very fondly remember the OPM hack from like 2015. I think that was really my very, very first foray into cybersecurity, and seeing just what the bad guys were capable of. Also got a year's monitoring out of that. Woo! Thank you, federal government. So if there is an incident, absolutely, we're going to respond as quickly as possible. This organization is the best defenders. We've got people that, again, PIM particles. We've got the ability to virtualize. We've got, your software in a cloud, and you no longer have to worry about the physical security. Our organization really is the best in defense. Oh, good gracious. That was it, right?
That was it. Thank you, Nadine. And remember, I want you to sit there and remember one thing is that, the Klingon term, revenge is best never served, right? So keep that in mind next time you see me. And let's go ahead and turn that over to the judges here.
Oh, good Lord.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with Jake.
Yeah, this was well done, right? I mean, you took a very difficult topic, blue team as a service, and after virtualizing all the humans involving PIM particles, I was going to give you a 90. I got to drop you down to 75 though, leaving some room for for others here, mostly because the whole blocking the packets with your hands thing. I mean, there was so much like obvious Avengers hand-to-hand combat that could have happened. I have to dock you a couple of points. I'm going to go soft. You know what? Back up to 77.5 it is. There we go.
Hey, you got to give a whole number there, Jake.
78 it is.
78.
78
all right.
it is.
We're rounding up.
Jake, we're using integers, so it's 77.99999. We're in Java.
5 9s.
Well, I got to try to keep our host Ian happy, so he said whole numbers only. Right. All right. Wolf, what do you think?
Major props for being informative. I mean, as a CISO, I had not considered or assumed that I could use PIM particles on my SOC. And when you think about real estate alone, I mean, that's really saying something. So major points and props for being informative. I thought that was good. I didn't laugh as much as I'd hoped to. So there's some really good funny bits that you could have played on. The ripping about the packets, like Jay already mentioned. Just the insanity as that deck went on and on. So in honor of the PIM particle, which, as we all know, was stolen in 1970, I am going to give you 70 points for that talk.
Awesome. And last and certainly not least, Miss Alyssa.
So you started with a walk down amnesia lane. Like, you started in the data centers, and I remember freezing my ass off in front of those doors as the cold air is blowing out of the floor because we didn't know how to cool stuff other than pressurize the floor with cold air. And then you went to Quicken. Like, I mean, come on. Like, this was my young IT days, just all over the place. And so I was with you. And then, we kind of got into it. And I wasn't feeling it. We had this blue team thing going on, but where did the red team come in? And, are they the ninjas that we're fighting when we're punching back on the packets? I wasn't sure until you started to lose me. So I had to dock you a few points there, but in the end, I'm thinking I'm going to give you a solid 79.
All right. And Miss Shelby, I've got the Discord up. We've got looks like somebody like Figbert gave you a 90 there, Nadine.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Yeah, nice. So and 86.1193.
Thank you.
And a 60. I don't even know how Ian's going to sit there and keep this numbers up. So, all right. We've got one more contestant here, and then our special guest. So, Jesse, are you on and available? Thank you, Nadine. I appreciate your participation.
Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you.
All right, Jesse. Are you ready to knock this out the park here?
Not really, but we'll see.
All righty.
Perfect. Then you're all set.
All right. The entire idea is to not sit there and be ready for this. But let's go ahead and get started here. All right, Jesse, here you go.
Great. All right. So this is different ways to drop USB-NG because, adding the NG because, well, it's cool. So, yeah. And that's me. I'm presenting here. This is my introduction to checking out fingerprints and zeros and ones. So I hope you enjoy. Let's go ahead and check out testing outside the front door. Usually I do pen testing and we make sure the back door is open, but we're going to check out the front door, seeing that we're doing forensics, I guess. So we're allowed to do these things. So in trying to properly test companies' defenses, we try to alternate methods to compromise. I kind of mentioned that a little bit, right? Back door. But we're doing the front door, this digital forensics. So one way to do this is to use a mixture of social engineering and technology by tricking the users to insert a USB or other things, but we're just going to stick with USBs for now. We've all heard of different ways to drop USB, parachutes, black boxes, gray boxes. Today we'll take some new and creative ways to drop USBs. So speaking of which, parking lot drops. Oh my gosh. So yeah, traditionally we may drop a USB in a parking lot. And usually put something on it like payroll, like HR employees, or something that makes it easy, well, more enticing for someone to go ahead and actually want to look at it. So what that typically does, unfortunately, for the people, the employees, the organization at large, is it may compromise them. Hopefully, going forward here, we'll show that we've been able to harden the systems to where when you insert a USB, it just does read, not write, but we'll see as we go along. So, yeah, it's still a question, right? It's still problems to solve. We'll still have to see if there's a write access, read access, what have you. Not sure, but we'll need to solve the problem. We'll need to devise some new and different ways of figuring out what's going to happen. So next slide. So we're going to have to use cannons, robot soldiers, that build the cannons. The cannons build robots, back and forth. And we have this Voltron type thing. So one way we can drop the USB is by launching it through the cannons that the robots build and remotely working from their house. So that's great. So, parking lots, launching USBs through cannons, but who doesn't want to jump into an airplane with some USBs, fly across the continent, and just throw them out the windows, right? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and attack your remote workforce through airplanes. It's fantastic. Yeah, there's no place we can't go. We can go to Alaska, Montana, New Jersey, wherever we fly. Does your threat model include robot cannons? Oh my gosh.
Well, I had to include New Jersey because it's definitely remote or nobody wants to be there. Take your pick.
So, how many things are we doing? I thought we were doing 3. So let's teleport, right? Teleport. Oh, I love teleporting. I mean, Homer does it, right? From the couch, go grab that beer in the refrigerator. So yeah, this is the best, right? Just go ahead and just reach through and plug it into the computer. Teleport. Oh, so we're doing more. I mean, how many can you do? So other multiple ways to do USB attacks. So we should never forget catapulting USBs over a fence and somehow miraculously get right into the slot perfectly with the right amount of pressure to be able to make that computer recognize that USB and to launch that C2. Oh my God. And thank you. Hope you all have fun with your USBs and the many ways to use them. Take care. And don't use these tactics for evil.
All right. Thank you, Jesse.
Oh
I appreciate it here. Let's go ahead and bring up our judges. Judges, what do you think so far?
I mean, I have lots of feels, right? As you know, I mean, I've got a little bit on the red team side, a little on the instant responder side. I got to tell you, just background wise, kicking off, like you were all the way up here, like at 100, and then you lost 20 points, man, when it came down to the Transformers. I got to tell you, right? No recognition of Megatron whatsoever. That's oh man, that's major geek points. Also, I mean, the trebuchet. You missed the like. They were all trebuchets, and prior to this season of Rick and Morty, right? That's a textbook trebuchet, right? I totally could have forgiven that, but I'm sorry. I mean, that was definitely a Google search away there. So I don't know, man. I'm thinking like 62.
All right, and Alyssa.
I mean, yeah, first of all, back to the trebuchets, right? Like, I mean, clearly somebody who's never watched an episode of Junkyard Wars before. I come on, seriously, where are we? And now I just totally dated myself because there's like a bunch of people out there like, what the hell is Junkyard Wars? But, I just, and the canon, how did we miss the canon, the important canon? We have all the other canons, they're fine, but the important canon was there. And we didn't even reference it. I mean, I'm speaking into one right now. Come on. I mean, seriously. So I don't know. I'm hurting. I'm hurting on this one. I thought we had more in the teleporters. I mean, so I was down on you, but I had to give you some props. I mean, you did announce very publicly your preference for the back door. So I was happy to hear that. That was very good. You did also, you understand that it takes the right amount of pressure to get it in the slot. So that was good too. So I guess, all said and done.
Oh man.
Right.
All right,
And Wolf.
This is mean.
I gotta go with, I gotta go with an 80. I'm gonna give you an 80 for that.
Wow.
No, my corporate overlord
Warming,
just
like,
were like,
taking
hey,
off
this has gotten
shirts.
way too rich to have anything with a logo on it. So that's yeah.
Wow.
That just happened.
Texas is really getting warm in here.
Yeah.
Button myself. So yeah. To Alyssa's point, man, you start adding points with all those innuendos, and then the innuendos kept coming. And frankly, I'm not entirely sure if you meant the innuendos or if you just kept tripping into them. But they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. So that was fantastic. So I got a word.
I really wanted to comment back when he was talking about the back doors. I was just like, why didn't you mention the Whopper, man? So
that was good. But then you started losing points, right? I mean, like, you missed the trebuchets, you missed the Transformers. I was right there. And then we got transporters, and we could have some really good conversation around. Is that Star Trek? What has Discovery done with the new transporters? Why did they change the transporter signature? Frankly, that's just wrong. And what happens if you put USBs in a transport buffer and then run that through a pattern mixer? Do you still preserve the data? And does the USB go through a transporter better or a floppy? I don't even know at this point in time, because I was so hung up that I missed the last 4 minutes wondering what was happening with Star Trek and my 80s favorite toys. So, on the whole, though, I'm going to give this an 80 points. I think it's a little bit generous, but the accidental innuendo is going to push it over for me. So you get 80 points for me.
all right. And Shelby, I've got the Discord on the screen, but I am laughing way too hard to see any of the numbers that come in. I see that Jeff has given him 95 points.
Well,
All
to
right,
be fair,
and-
Jeff actually gave him 47 points. It's 95, one for each kilogram of trebuchet can launch, but he has to award half those points to Alyssa. So
Yes.
all
the
right.
consensus is that Alyssa won this round, by the way.
Yes. Seconded.
All right. Shelby, any other comments we need to watch for, or are we?
I'm never
All right.
getting invited back. I'm telling you.
I've never done this before. This is fantastic.
So we did have a lot of people that were upset about the missing the Trebuchet references and the Transformer references. So we ended up with a score of about 50. And then, so it's 50, and then someone's asking for plus 10 for getting Jake to take off some of his clothes.
Right.
So we'll end at a 60.
All righty. So where are our standings? So Ian, where are we at with the standings right now? Do we have a winner yet? Or?
Do we have a winner yet? I mean, we are going to bring in our special guest, but what would we have on that last one? 60 from the
60.
audience?
60,
Well, do you want to
yes.
calculate? Do we want to bring in our special guest while we calculate the scores?
No, I think. Well, you tell me. I mean, obviously, I'm a serious business person, so you tell me. Do you want the special guest, or do you want the winner? Because I can.
How about we
I can
do
go
this?
either
How
way.
about we bring in our special guest here, who's ultra special, for a presentation, and we'll give him the floor, and then you'll calculate the scores, and maybe have him give us special. You know, we'll have him introduce everyone at the end, or announce it.
Fantastic. I will
right.
drop out. I'll use extreme math, probably
Okay.
blockchain, AI powered ML, and we'll figure it out.
Awesome. John, sir, are you there?
I am. You got to be careful whenever you're talking about blockchain and AI. You're going to trigger Jake.
Yeah.
And that's going to be bad. He'll take off the rest of his clothing. It's not pretty. He'll end up with Jake. He'll end up with Jay in the same sanitarium.
I'm pretty sure that's going to happen after your presentation here, John. So
I don't know. I don't know how this goes. I just. All right, let's bring up the presentation.
Okay, and John, before I bring up the presentation, I do want to remind you one thing, that we're friends and you like me, and I hope that after this is done, you still like me. So
yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
all right.
All right, let's go through
here we
this.
go.
All right, let's do it. Raised to go to the John. All right, so let's get started. I've got an introduction slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and set the stage a little bit. My name is John Strand, and I'm currently in hell. I'm being punished because a long time ago I did slide roulette with Jake Williams at DEF CON, and I actually asked a 12-year-old girl if she was homeschooled because she kept screaming into the microphone. Jake then basically leaned over to me while he was vaping. He's like, dude, do you need some of this? And I said no, and then I decided to start taking on the DEF CON goons, at which point Jake moved his chair a little bit further away from me to make sure that he wouldn't be part of that entire thing. And apparently I look like the guy from Matchbox 20, I suppose. But I don't know.
Jay Beal for that one. So
yeah, that Jay Beal is the one that set me up on that. Well, that's not very smooth. I guess. So we'll see how many Matchbox 20 references I can work into this, because I really think that band sucks quite a bit. Not that they're bad people, mind you. It's just that they make really crappy music that kind of killed the whole alternative movement. And what really sucks is at some point they're going to end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Maroon 5. And I'm just going to be like, oh, what the hell? So does this slide ever change? No, it doesn't. So this presentation is about going to the bathroom in a variety of different places. And no, I am not John Strand male model. Now, you've heard me reuse this joke multiple times. John Strand male model is actually a real person. He's a male model. He's part of the insurrection. I actually created a helpful presentation separating out John Strand male model from myself. One of the things you'll notice about John Strand male model is he doesn't know how to put on freaking pants. He doesn't know how they work. I actually do know how pants work, and I'm very grateful for the fact that I know how to put them on the correct way without dehydrating and actually glistening myself up. You want me to prove it? No, we're not going to do that here. That's not what this is all about. My private office is an outhouse. It's funny that you actually say that, because that's not that far off. I just had an outhouse that was delivered. And yes, I actually have worked in an outhouse before. I actually lived in a shop for 6.5 months with my family. We lived in tents. We had an outhouse out front. My kids hate it. Whenever they get around old people, and old people are like, well, you don't know what it's like in my day when we didn't have running water. My kids are like, absolutely, I know what that's like, you old hag. So you need to go to the John whenever you have a password hash, John the Ripper. Now, the thing about the hash is whenever you're going to crack that hash, you're going to put it in the pot file. Yes, that's another pot joke from Solar Designer. I'm pretty sure that whenever he wrote this, he wrote it as a bad inside joke to make all of the college students that had to learn password cracking or the Sands 504 students that actually had to run John the Ripper for 25 goddamn years in the class because we never could get Hashcat to work properly within a VM up until fairly recently. But I'm sure that he always loved the idea that I would be teaching how we crack password hashes and then we put them in a pot file. Well, the potheads in my class are like, he said hash and pot. And then they end up passing it around outside in the back area. By the way, the weirdest thing that I ever saw at a SANS conference, this is absolute honest to God truth, was a whole bunch of SANS employees that decided they were going to eat bananas and then drink Sprite shortly thereafter. If you haven't actually seen this, you should, because what happens is you eat the banana, you drink the Sprite, and then you end up violently throwing up everything in one shot. No, I'm not joking. They did this for fun. I did it too. I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to admit it. So when do you go to the John? Whenever you have ADHD, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. I've been told that I actually have that. That's why I actually named the distribution ADHD. It's our answer to the security distributions such as Kali Linux and Parrot Security. One of the key differences is other people actually use those distributions. Whereas ADHD, people just think it looks cool because, you know, it's got a cool logo, which I paid $15 for whenever I actually had ADHD actually built. At one point, we actually had an intern that was developing on ADHD. Fun fact, he was actually hosting files on a white supremacist site that he was running at the same time. He actually runs around now periodically and is like, why did John fire me? I hope he's watching this. Yeah, you know who you are. But that's a little bit of backstory in ADHD. Point is, if you're racist, we don't hire you at Black Hills Information Security. So when do we actually go to the John? Well, when you have a new budget proposal, that's a good time to actually go to the restroom. I don't know who actually put that bullet point together. I'm not going to fall for it because that's just clickbait. When you're the owner of Black Hills Information Security, I have to look at the budget numbers. No, I don't. The whole concept of Black Hills Information Security is proudly sucking at capitalism. We have no idea how we make money here. Seriously, it's actually quantum capitalism. Anytime we have an opportunity where we could seriously make money or sell out to an investment company, we end up not doing that. And the reason why we choose not to do that thing is because that shit sucks. Whenever you're working with VC funding, whenever you're working with all these people that come in and they drop $20 million on you, it's a loan. It's a loan with a bunch of sarks who want to come in and run your company as if they know how to run your company. You'd be better off actually taking money from the freaking mob than actually taking it from a VC funding firm. I'm probably actually offending a few people here, but you know it's true. It's absolutely destroying the entire industry. So what happens whenever you get these proposals for people that want to buy the company is I wipe my ass with them, as I would oftentimes whenever I go to the John afterwards. And I know that people are like, oh my God, John, you shouldn't say that. You're going to scare away future investment firms. Absolutely. That's what we're actually looking for because we proudly suck at capitalism. And anytime we do anything at all, we're like, could this suck at capitalism more? Like doing Slideshow Roulette at 7 o'clock at night, destroying all possible future investment opportunities. Yep, that's what we're actually doing here, folks. We're trying to make sure of it. Now, I want to say thank you very much for attending the conference, even though some of you are like, what the hell is wrong with John? Is he always like this? Yes, I end up ranting like this all the time unless I'm on a webcast, but it's important that all of you actually understand proper bathroom hygiene, especially whenever it comes with running a boutique security firm. Damn it, my phone went off. I thought I had the ringer off. Of course that happened. Oh, it's my brother and sister who work for the company who are calling to say, what the hell are you doing? Could you please stop? You're not helping anything at all. I also want to say thank you very much to all the people that made this happen. I remember having a nightmare about 6 years ago. I was like, one of the worst things that I could possibly think to happen is if Ian and Frank got together and put on an event. I was like, there is no freaking way these two people will ever or should ever meet. One's in Denver, one's in Florida. I figured I was safe. Up until Velda, the person who puts on this conference, is like, Frank's going to work with Ian on this. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Here we go. And it was every bit the train wreck that I expected it to be. The beautiful, awesome, unforgettable train wreck. And I blame our judges. To be completely honest with you, the judges are the ones that take this train and just send it right over the cliff. And for that, I thank you because you're all beautiful. You're all train wrecks. We're all weird. This entire industry is completely broken. We're antisocial people who probably didn't date. We might even drink too much every once in a while, but God damn it, we're family. And in information security, we're the only family we have. and I will happily take a bullet for any of you. Thank you so much. That's my TED Talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much there. Thank you, John. Awesome as always.
Somebody said, powerful John McAfee moment. Not just weird stuff, just pure cocaine.
Oh, I hope one day that you'll let me back into South Dakota for next year, but I'm not real sure on that. I'm probably going to be kicked out of pretty much any state north of Colorado now.
It's okay. I'm not allowed back in Gartner, so that's good.
Well, then I'm following your fabulous footsteps, so that makes my day there, John. All right, to the judges here. Alyssa.
Oh, we're gonna judge this.
Wow, I gotta judge
Oh,
this
he judged you, so it's only fair, right?
You know, they tell you, first of all, whenever you do a talk, you start off with a story because you can identify with the audience, and you're supposed to do that, right? So I got to give you big props because I didn't realize I'm not the only one who has a supermodel named after me. That there is indeed a John Strand, just as there's an Alyssa Miller.
Whoa. Super might be pushing it in my case, but
I mean, honestly, mine too.
But I'm not gonna lie, the guy is damn sexy. I mean, everyone's got to admit that the dude is.
They get there somehow. So I mean, you had me right from the start, and then I mean, just laying it out on the VCs, I'm right there with you. So I don't know where to take that, but all the way to the top. You know, I mean, geez, I'm looking for the negative, and I'm just not finding it. I guess I got to dock you 10 for the phone call at the end. So we'll make it
bad.
right.
Although it was serendipitous, it probably was my brother and my sister were calling me, asking me, "What the hell are you doing live?" So,
all right,
we'll let John do this anyway.
I want to retire.
John, I got to tell you, man, we could not have asked for a better conductor on an incredible train wreck. That was phenomenal. And I've got a soft spot in my heart for this community. So the way you ended it was just great, Cheers to you for that. I'm going to dial that up to 100. I loved it. I didn't learn a damn thing, but man, did I have a good time.
And last but not least, the person with still his clothes on here, Mr. Jake Williams. So, John, you did not succeed in getting him to strip down. So
I'm glad I failed at that. Because I don't need to see Jake. I don't need to see Jake naked again.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, all that. Hey, first off, that opening story was fantastic. You probably remember that I was, well, anyway, that the opening is just a blast from the past. I'm glad to see how far we've come. But I have to tell you, given the opening story, I was up till like 3 a.m. after all the stress of being guilty by association, right? Because I remember sitting in the seat over there waiting for Grifter to show up and have a little talk about, yes, anyway.
No, and so Grifter, it's funny, people probably think that I made that shit up. No, that happened.
No, that absolutely happened. It absolutely
Grifter,
happened.
I pulled him aside and talked to him the other day, and I was like, dude, we cool? And he's like, why wouldn't we be? It was awesome. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, no, just to level set here, and I won't take too much of the stream, but John did exactly what needed to be done. That's what leadership looked like. Again, it was just outstanding. I mean, anyway, yes. But being guilty by association, the whole thing got bent out of proportion. I felt extremely unwell after that. But man, I'm not going to push you around anymore before giving you a perfect score. Could not have been any better, brother.
Thanks.
Seriously.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And if you didn't catch the Matchbox 20 references, you're just falling asleep. Right, so.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, John. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you, Jake and Alyssa. Ian, what's the final score? Have we figured that out yet?
Yeah, we threw it to the cloud. We ran a bunch of computational processes, and I think we're about ready to try and. How does one score a catastrophe? Is it the Fujita scale? Is it
it's megadeaths?
It's
total.
Is it?
Oh, we score them in guars. No. Okay, so let's go through and get into the stream here. I've got the numbers here. If everyone is ready, we have the scores, and it was a tight one.
Yep.
And believe it or not, Discord actually decided. So let's share the screen. I'm going to go through, get the scoreboard up, and if I can remember how to computar, we will be doing good. All right, and here it comes. In first place, we have Nadine, and Discord actually brought it in for Nadine with that extra 10 points. We had a judge's score that was the same as 227. Jay, unfortunately, 270 there. But we've all started a GoFundMe for your therapy, and we're going to slowly get you some sort of methadone in the form of USB flash drives or something like that to work you off of whatever weird trauma you've got. And John, I mean, I know they scored it, but I mean, I think that's actually the most appropriate score as we go through.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. So there's our scores, Nadine. You are our winner of this unbelievable experience du jour.
Yay!
Yay!
All right, let's bring Nadine into the stream.
Nadine,
Nadine.
I don't know if Nadine should be proud or like. I don't think this goes on a resume.
I don't know if this goes on a resume.
No.
Thank you. That was a very interesting experience. The heart palpitations before, that was interesting.
Cool. Well, so Nadine is our winner. That you will have that. I think we have like some kind of Golden Buffalo Award or something like that, or maybe.
Have we discussed that yet?
As long as it's not a golden patty.
No. Okay.
That, or we may get you a hat that's similar to Ian's right there. I think that's our next prize.
Oh, wow!
There we go.
I'll wear that at the next Wild West Hackin.
It's gonna be a sad, disappointed buffalo. I don't know quite what that looks like, but we'll send Matt's like.
Why don't we see
silently judging Buffalo?
They're all silently judging. It's just what they do.
I'll put them on the shelf behind me.
Why don't we bring in the other contestants? I think we've got enough room. Let's bring in our Jesse, and also
I gotta go pick up my son at work. I'm out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. And I meant what I said at the end. I love you all, and let's continue to have a great con. I'll see you.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and let's bring in Jay just to say thanks. And that's there's all our contestants and all of our judges.
They let him out of his car. All right. And the rubber, is that rubber in the like a rubber room in the back or?
And Jay, just so you know, as things slid completely off the rails, we made sure that everyone knows that this particular segment has been brought to you by Guardians. And Guardians, remember the name.
Ian,
yes.
Ian, I got a phone call. It's Macho Man Randy Savage says he wants his hat back.
Oh, hold on.
We're gonna bring it with the pain and the hurt, and we're gonna come and bring the cream to right to the top, and we're gonna bring it all the way through for Slideshow Roulette. Oh yeah!
Oh my God, Jay, this is mine.
That was awesome.
That was.
You can't have the hat and not learn to do the voice. I mean, you have to.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
Frank, we ready to send this train wreck off the thing like Back to the Future 3?
We are. I just want to say thank you to everyone that participated, especially Jesse, Jay, John. Again, another special thank you to Wolf and Alyssa and Nadine and Jake. Can't forget Jake. And Ian, I want to do a very, very special thank you to you, right? Without you, this would not have been possible. So thank you so much. Again, my name is Frank. I'm with the Denver OWASP group. And just watch the Discord channel. We are actually working on our conference, or planning to have our conference called snowfrock.com. And that is snowfroc.com in March of 2022. So be on the watch out for it. Once we get the contract signed, we'll have the website up. And thank you, everyone, and please have a good night and enjoy the conference tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to throw it to the outro and the broadcast, and then we'll come back into the green room and like to chat with all of you just for a minute. All right. Cool.
Promotional consideration provided by the following: Wild West Hackin Fest. Video production provided by B-Sides Orlando. Liked the music? Check out Funky Lo-Fi Hip Hop, Funky by Alex Productions on YouTube. And special thanks to Alyssa, Wolfgang, Jake, Frank, Ian, David, and the team at Wild West Hackin Fest.